Did you know a single everyday food in your kitchen could quietly raise your stroke risk while you sleep, and you'd never suspect it? It sounds dramatic, but once we pass 60, our blood vessels don't rebound like they used to. And the choices we make with food, even something as familiar as cheese, can either help circulation or quietly harm it. I'm not saying you have to quit cheese forever. What I am saying is this: the kind of cheese you pick matters far more than most people imagine. Many of the most popular cheeses in the US are packed with salt, unhealthy fats, and additives that can stiffen arteries, raise blood pressure, and yes, even trigger a nighttime stroke. But there's good news. 4 gentle, heart-friendly cheeses can actually nourish your blood vessels, sharpen your mind, and still delight your taste buds. It only takes a small shift, and I'll show you how. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which cheese ends up in your shopping cart most often? Cheddar, cream cheese, mozzarella, or something completely different? Drop a 1 in the comments if you usually go for soft cheeses, or 0 if firm ones are your favorite. And of course, hit subscribe to Health Lab, because when it comes to protecting your heart and brain after 60, each choice really does count. Next, let's uncover which cheeses may be quietly undermining your health and the ones worth adding to your daily plate to keep your blood vessels strong. Let's kick off with a staple hiding in almost every US refrigerator: processed cheese. Think of those perfectly uniform orange slices or the creamy spread that comes in a jar. They're convenient, they melt like a dream, and they've been part of quick lunches and late night snacks for generations. But here's what often slips under the radar. Processed cheese is barely cheese at all. It's closer to a lab experiment built on a dairy base. Each slice can pack more than 300 milligrams of sodium. That's just one slice. So layer 2 or 3 on a sandwich, and suddenly you're at a third of your daily salt quota. For anyone over 60, that's no small issue. As we age, blood vessels naturally stiffen, so every extra pinch of salt pushes blood pressure higher and forces arteries to work harder. The outcome? A greater likelihood of hypertension and a higher risk of stroke, particularly at night when blood pressure can surge unexpectedly. Salt isn't the only concern. Processed cheeses are also loaded with saturated fats and emulsifiers that contribute to plaque buildup inside arteries. The American Heart Association has long cautioned that diets high in saturated fat are strongly linked to atherosclerosis, a condition where arteries narrow and harden, choking off blood flow to the brain. In fact, a study in hypertension found older adults consuming high sodium plus high saturated fat had a 35% greater risk of silent strokes, the hidden kind you don't feel until the damage is already done. So what's the alternative? Start with your own refrigerator. If it's stocked with individually wrapped cheese slices, consider swapping them for a simpler, more natural option. You don't have to give up cheese completely. Just choosing varieties lower in sodium and free of artificial additives can safeguard your heart and brain far more than you might think. Next up, let's look at another crowd-favorite cheese that may surprise you with its hidden downsides. It's sharp, bold, and often thought of as a grown-up taste, the kind of flavor many people only start to appreciate later in life. Yet, while its complexity is alluring, especially sprinkled over salads or paired with crackers, blue cheese hides risks that become more significant after 60. What sets blue cheese apart is the mold used to create it, specifically penicillium cultures that form its signature marbled streaks. Along with that pungent aroma comes a compound called tyramine. Tyramine naturally forms in aged foods, and it's known to affect blood pressure. For people with delicate vascular systems or those taking medications such as MAO inhibitors, tyramine can trigger sudden, dangerous spikes in blood pressure. In fact, a study in the Journal of Clinical Hypertension reported that adults over 60 who regularly consumed tyramine-rich foods were more prone to abrupt increases in blood pressure, sometimes just hours after eating. Combine this with arteries that are already narrowed or less flexible, and you have the makings of a hypertensive crisis, a medical emergency linked to stroke and heart attack. There's also the fat factor. While less industrially processed than American cheese slices, blue cheese still carries a hefty load of saturated fat, which can nudge LDL cholesterol higher when eaten too frequently. For anyone with existing high blood pressure or vascular inflammation, the combination of saturated fat and tyramine tilts the odds even further against healthy circulation. This doesn't mean you have to swear it off forever. Moderation can go a long way, but if you're on blood pressure medication or you've noticed your numbers creeping upward, it might be safest to skip it. Next time you're tossing a salad or arranging a cheese board, pause before reaching for the blue-veined wedge. Gentler, heart-friendly cheeses exist, and we'll get to them shortly. But first, let's turn to another creamy favorite you might not expect. It's silky, indulgent, and for millions, it's practically a morning ritual slathered thick over a warm bagel or toast. But if you're over 60 and automatically reaching for cream cheese each morning, it's worth pausing to see what it's actually doing to your heart and circulation. Unlike firm cheeses, cream cheese brings almost no protein or calcium to the table. Instead, it's built mostly from saturated fat. Just 2 tablespoons, the typical amount spread on half a bagel, can pack more than 9 grams of fat, most of it saturated. And that's where the trouble begins. A diet heavy in saturated fat but light on beneficial nutrients like protein and calcium pushes LDL, the bad cholesterol, upward. Research from the National Institutes of Health highlights that higher LDL levels in older adults strongly predict atherosclerosis, fatty buildup along artery walls. When those narrowed arteries are in your heart or brain, your stroke and heart disease risk rises sharply. There's another hidden twist. Cream cheese is most often paired with refined carbs like white bread or bagels. Together, they trigger a rapid blood sugar spike, then a dip, leaving you tired, foggy, or even lightheaded. That post-breakfast slump you've been blaming on a rough night's sleep? It could be your cream cheese and bagel combo. The good news is you don't have to abandon creamy spreads forever. Try trading your usual cream cheese for a lighter, protein-rich option such as whipped, cottage cheese, or ricotta blended with herbs. You'll keep the smooth texture while giving your brain and blood vessels far more support. And now, let's look at one last cheese, a quintessential American favorite you'll want to rethink. Let's turn to the classic culprit, American cheese. Those shiny yellow slices that melt flawlessly over burgers, grilled sandwiches, or scrambled eggs. They're practically the poster child of U.S. comfort food. But if you're over 60, this nostalgic favorite could be quietly undermining your heart and blood vessels. Here's the truth. American cheese isn't really cheese in the traditional sense. It's a processed cheese product made from milk, whey, emulsifiers, colorings, preservatives, and only a small fraction of real cheese. The end result? A slice that melts perfectly and tastes creamy, yet delivers very little real nutrition. One slice can contain up to 400 milligrams of sodium and about 5 grams of saturated fat. What's more alarming are the synthetic extras. Additives like phosphates and emulsifiers have been linked to vascular inflammation, which can gradually weaken arterial walls. For older adults, that translates into higher odds of vascular damage, cognitive decline, and stroke risk. In fact, a recent review in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who frequently ate processed cheese products faced a significantly greater risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who chose natural cheeses. The problem isn't just the salt or the fat, it's the way these additives interact with your entire circulatory system. If you're topping your meals with American cheese every day, especially sandwiches or omelets, consider switching things up. Fresh mozzarella, goat cheese, or another minimally processed variety can give you flavor and creaminess without the chemical burden. These options not only nourish your heart and brain, but also help maintain healthy blood pressure. And speaking of better choices, it's time to move to the good news, the 4 cheeses that can actually strengthen your circulation, protect your brain, and lower your stroke risk. First up, a creamy, lighter option that supports your muscles and blood pressure at the same time. A soft, creamy cheese that not only pleases your taste buds, but actively supports your body after 60. Unlike the heavily processed cheeses we've just discussed, ricotta is born from the whey left behind in traditional cheese making. That matters because whey is rich in high-quality protein your body can absorb quickly, a crucial advantage as muscle loss accelerates with age. Just half a cup of ricotta delivers about 14 grams of protein along with a full spectrum of amino acids that aid in repair and recovery. Why does that matter for your heart and brain? Because maintaining strong muscles improves balance and movement, lowering the risk of falls and stable mobility is closely tied to overall cardiovascular health. Ricotta's protein also plays a role in moderating blood pressure, a key factor in stroke prevention. Another big plus, ricotta is naturally low in sodium, often around 50 mg per serving. That means you get creaminess and flavor without sending your salt intake soaring. And then there's the calcium. This mineral isn't just for bones. It helps your blood vessels contract and relax smoothly, acting like a gentle cushion against sudden blood pressure spikes. Adding ricotta to your routine is easy. Spread it on whole grain toast with a drizzle of honey, fold it into scrambled eggs, or mix it with fresh herbs and lemon for a savory, heart-friendly dip. You'll be nourishing your muscles, supporting circulation, and protecting your brain, all without sacrificing taste. Up next, a light, fresh cheese that's even more powerful for your blood vessels than you might expect. Next on the list is cottage cheese, a humble staple that's actually one of the most nutrient-dense choices you can keep in your fridge after 60. Its mild taste and creamy bite make it endlessly adaptable, but it's what's hidden inside that makes it a standout for heart and brain health. Cottage cheese is rich in casein, a slow-digesting protein that helps you stay full longer and keeps blood sugar on an even keel. Why does that matter? Stable blood sugar places less stress on your circulatory system, easing inflammation and oxidative damage that can prematurely age your arteries. A single cup of low-fat cottage cheese provides about 28 grams of protein with relatively little fat, making it a powerful ally for maintaining muscle and metabolism. Unlike heavily processed cheeses, cottage cheese also offers a notable dose of vitamin B12 and selenium. B12 supports healthy red blood cells and nerve function, while selenium works as a potent antioxidant, shielding your blood vessels from free radical damage. In fact, a 2020 study in Nutrients found that older adults with higher selenium intake enjoyed better endothelial function, the thin, critical lining of your blood vessels. When your endothelium is healthy, arteries stay more flexible, blood flows smoothly, and your stroke risk drops. Another bonus, you can find low sodium or no salt added cottage cheese, a smart choice if you're managing blood pressure. Try spooning it over fresh berries with a sprinkle of flaxseed for a filling breakfast, or mix it with cucumber slices, herbs, and olive oil for a savory snack. Now, let's move on to a cheese that's easy to digest and may surprise you with its brain-boosting power. Goat cheese, creamy, lightly tangy, and far more than just a gourmet upgrade. It's one of the easiest cheeses to digest and surprisingly supportive of both your energy levels and brain health after 60. As our digestive systems become more sensitive with age, foods that once felt effortless can suddenly cause bloating or discomfort. This is where goat cheese truly shines. Because it contains less lactose than traditional cow's milk cheeses, goat cheese is gentler on the stomach for anyone with mild dairy sensitivities or lactose intolerance. That reduction in digestive strain can also mean less pressure on your gut and indirectly your vascular system. But the real standout quality of goat cheese lies in its fat profile, specifically medium-chain triglycerides. These unique fats are rapidly converted into energy, especially by the brain. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition has shown that MCTs can enhance cognitive performance in older adults, particularly those with age-related memory changes. So, a serving of goat cheese isn't just nourishing your circulation, it's fueling your mind. There's more. Goat cheese is packed with highly bioavailable calcium and phosphorus, minerals essential for keeping blood vessels resilient and responsive. That translates to smoother circulation and fewer of the sudden blood pressure spikes that become more common with age. And here's a lesser known perk. Goat cheese naturally contains oligosaccharides, prebiotic compounds that feed your gut's good bacteria. Supporting a healthy microbiome reduces systemic inflammation, a hidden driver of stroke and other vascular diseases. If goat cheese is new to you, ease in by crumbling a little over salads, spreading it on whole grain crackers, or pairing it with roasted vegetables. It's creamy, satisfying, and quietly working to protect your heart, brain, and arteries. And finally, let's look at one last cheese soft, fresh, and quietly powerful for your vascular health. Finally, let's shine a light on fresh mozzarella, not the shredded bag version, but the soft, snow white rounds packed in liquid. This isn't just a treat for your taste buds, it's one of the gentlest cheeses you can choose for your heart and arteries after 60. Compared to most processed or aged cheeses, fresh mozzarella contains far less sodium, often under 200 mg per ounce. A major advantage for anyone managing blood pressure. Keeping blood pressure steady dramatically lowers your stroke risk, particularly the nighttime spikes that can happen without warning. But fresh mozzarella's benefits don't stop at low salt. It's also a natural source of probiotics, those beneficial bacteria that nurture your gut. Why does that matter for cardiovascular health? Because emerging research reveals a powerful gut vascular link. In Frontiers in Cardiovascular Medicine, scientists found that older adults with more diverse gut bacteria had lower arterial stiffness and improved circulation. Adding probiotic-rich foods like fresh mozzarella isn't just about better digestion, it helps soothe systemic inflammation that silently damages blood vessels over time. You'll also get a healthy dose of calcium and moderate protein, two building blocks that help maintain muscle tone and bone strength, critical for preventing falls and supporting circulation. For an easy, heart-friendly meal, slice fresh mozzarella with ripe tomatoes, add a drizzle of olive oil, and a few basil leaves for a simple caprese salad that tastes like summer but works hard for your health. And now that you've seen the 4 cheeses to avoid and the 4 cheeses to embrace, here's the takeaway. You don't have to give up cheese to protect your heart. You simply have to be intentional about which ones you choose. Swapping a slice of processed cheese for a scoop of ricotta, cottage cheese, or fresh mozzarella may feel like a small step, but it can make a real difference for your circulation, blood pressure, and cognitive health. After 60, every bite matters a little more, but the upside is you're still in control. So, tell me in the comments, which cheese are you most excited to try, or which one will you rethink now? Let's support each other on this journey, and if you'd like more tips on pairing these heart-smart cheeses with other nourishing foods, just ask. Don't forget to subscribe for more simple, science-backed ways to stay strong, sharp, and thriving after 60. We're in this together, one mindful choice at a time.